Hi, this is Graphically Alex coming at you with all things fat related. If that's something that interests you, please subscribe. I'd love to have you. So it happened. TikTok was just banned in the United States, and we have to talk about it now. I said I would, and I thought about it, and I wanted to react to this video by Angelyca Unfiltered. You can see the channel here. I am subscribed. But yes, I wanted to go ahead and just shout her out. Again, love the channel. And I wanted to just honestly promote the idea of anti-FA sticking together in this time, as I do think this is going to be a tricky time to navigate for the community. So let's talk about it. I have some concerns. I also want to share her points with you guys. I think she made a lot of really good points in this video, and then I want to add to how I think it's going to affect, I want to add my points of how I think it will affect the Fatosphere that TikTok has been banned. So let's go ahead and get started.
Hi, my name is Angelica. If you're new here, welcome. I like to talk about stuff like weight loss, health, wellness, and fat acceptance. So if that's something that's interesting to you, please consider subscribing. Today I wanted to talk about how the potential TikTok ban could really impact the fat acceptance movement.
Not potential anymore.
I have some notes on my phone, so I will be looking down in case you're wondering what I'm doing. If you know anything about fat acceptance, TikTok is really where I feel like it resides. TikTok is such an accessible, easy platform to use and create content on, so I feel like that's probably one of the biggest reasons why. Like before TikTok was big, I never saw anything about fat acceptance on Instagram or YouTube. Creating content on TikTok is super easy, and to be honest, doesn't really...
So there was some stuff on YouTube, but it was not that popular, I guess you could say, at the time. It did exist, though. It has been around. It's been in the shadows for quite a while, which I did notice it a lot. I obviously paid attention to it as I was deeply in the toxic ritualistic and all that stuff back in those days. So I definitely was always aware. I've always been very aware of the Fatosphere for that reason. And I was, super morbidly obese back then too. So I was just very, very aware. But I agree that it really did explode. I would say especially, it was more so on YouTube, 2015-ish. There was kind of that BOPO era where it was really strong. And then it kind of shifted to TikTok. And then by 2018, fat acceptance was really, really, really loud, and it became kind of mainstream for a second. So, yeah, I agree. It definitely exploded on TikTok.
Require much effort. Like if you post on Instagram, usually posts that do well are very aesthetically pleasing. And then of course, if you want to post on YouTube, it just takes a lot more time and effort. Like you really have to put in a lot of energy to create longer content, especially if it has a lot of detail. So I feel like the simplicity of TikTok has made it an ideal space for lazy or casual content, allowing the fat acceptance movement to really spread its message very quickly and loudly. And since I feel like fat acceptance kind of really resides,
I do agree with that. As the YouTube algorithm changed, particularly in 2017, it became a lot harder to go viral, and YouTube really became a more niche-based platform. And so you see a lot of vloggers and this type of stuff. It really did not happen as much because those were not niche things, whereas TikTok seemed to have a little bit more of the older school style of algorithm where you could just, it's like every single thing was viewed individually rather than it being bunched with your channel, because the YouTube algorithm is really focused on your niche. That's why there aren't vloggers anymore, you guys. So if you miss that era, it's because YouTube changed their platform in 2017, and that's exactly why it changed. So anyways, that's why there's a lot less personality YouTubers and those types of things. It became different. It just became more so I talk about this specific topic. Commentary channels became bigger because of the way the algorithm worked, where you could get that algorithmic boost from talking about somebody's name and all that kind of stuff. and it became harder to be a personality on YouTube. With a lot of those people fleeing to TikTok, they found something that was a sort of easy way to identify with each other using body size. And I think with that type of algorithm, it just kind of exploded. It's also just polarizing enough, but not too polarizing to where it would get engagement. And so the way the algorithm on TikTok hit it, it just hit it hard. So I totally agree. But I think that's why it wasn't on YouTube or Instagram, where their algorithms are a little bit more similar. I have no idea how Instagram works. I'm going to be honest. I have no clue. I only know YouTube. But yeah. Okay.
It's on TikTok. If TikTok were to be banned next month, like a lot of people believe it will be, I think it could drastically reduce the visibility of the fat acceptance movement. Many creators depend on TikTok's format to reach their audience, and I feel like it's very...
So I agree with her here, and the reason why I'm sharing this video is because a lot of you guys are like, they'll just move on to another platform, it'll be nothing, da 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 da. But I completely agree with Angelyca. I think most people will give up. Because, let me put it to you this way. You have a group of people who make their entire name, literally their entire name, on giving up on weight loss. Do you think that these are super resilient people who, if their platform is gone, they're just going to start over? I don't think so. So I absolutely agree with Angelyca. I think a lot of that stuff is going to go away. I think a lot of the fat activists will give up. They were already giving up ever since the ban was announced in April. They were already demoralized. It was already happening. So that's why I don't have much faith that it will carry over to other platforms as much as people think. So I do think this is legitimately going to change the Fatosphere. This will change things, which is why we're talking about it.
Hard to replicate or get the same following by stuff that you post on TikTok on other social media platforms, and really have...
Yes, and I think she says this in the video, but there's hardly any crossover. If you have viewers on TikTok, you basically don't have anything anywhere else. It doesn't really transfer at all, which I totally agree with her there. I'm pretty sure she says that.
Like the same growth and success that you would on TikTok, especially on YouTube. Like if you want to grow on YouTube, like you got to be grinding on this shit for literally years. But on TikTok, you can become overnight famous because of just one video. And of course, you can go viral on any platform like Instagram or YouTube, but it takes a lot more work.
It used to be like that on YouTube where you could go viral with the video, but that's like early days. Like I said, they changed their algorithm in 2017. I can tell you the year. It was 2017. That's when they changed it.
And a lot more effort to create content on platforms that prioritize like aesthetics and having more polished content.
Instagram is definitely more aesthetic, for sure. I agree with her. Yes, I am saying that fat acceptance content on TikTok is lazy and low quality. Love that.
And I don't know how many fat acceptance creators would come over to platforms like Instagram and YouTube, because obviously it is so much more work and effort. And every social media platform has their own algorithm, and it really is difficult to continuously try and grasp the concept or, you know, like what other social media platforms like content creators to post. It's a game. It's a game on every social media platform. But I think it's especially hard from someone to go to TikTok over to Instagram or TikTok over to YouTube, because all platforms kind of require something different. While you can post short form vertical videos on Instagram Reels or YouTube Shorts, all the algorithms are completely different, and everyone has wanted TikTok's algorithm for so long and no one can replicate it.
TikTok is just so good at connecting people with like-minded content. The algorithm knows you better than you know yourself.
Any other platform. And I think that's another reason why it will be even more complicated for people in the fat acceptance community to grow on Instagram or YouTube. So because
they would also get tons and tons and tons of pushback, especially on YouTube, where anti-FA lives. YouTube is not a fat acceptance friendly platform whatsoever. It's probably the opposite, honestly. Instagram, there is some place for them there. There are some things on Instagram. I have seen a few videos that I probably will be covering, and that will probably be kind of an anti-FA's go-to will probably be Instagram because it does exist. It is different though. I think the quality is a little bit better and it's less low-hanging fruit. I'll put it to you that way on Instagram. Sometimes, not always, but sometimes. Sometimes the infographics are horrible, but it's a little bit more polished. I'll put it to you that way. It's more polished.
It takes so much more effort to learn more social media platforms.
I think it's harder with a lot of Instagram reels. It's harder to just choose a video to get laughs and clicks. It's harder to do that. So when I think about anti-FA, I'm concerned. And this is where I feel like I might ruffle some feathers. This is just a concern. It doesn't mean that it's real. It doesn't mean that it's happening. It doesn't mean it will happen. And I hope it doesn't. But I'm very worried that anti-FA people will quit because of this. When I was really thinking about the ban, I was really sweating it because I feel like there's been so much progress within anti-fat acceptance because of fat acceptance TikTok. And I think anti-FA is going to have to rise to a higher occasion in a moment like this. There are a lot of podcasts, there are these types of things, but I think it's going to be a little harder. It's going to be harder. I just know. And I'm worried that people will not care enough to continue. And that's my fear. Honestly, I don't want people to give up. So I will say, I'm telling other anti-FAs, please do not give up. Please do not quit. Because I am very concerned about that. And I think that would be horrible if that were to happen.
Don't know how many people will continue to create the same fat acceptance content. Like, I feel like a lot of people, you know, the ones that are just posting casually and maybe they don't make a living off of social media, they will kind of abandon the fat acceptance movement or at least abandon making content about the fat acceptance community because of how much more effort they have to put in. You know, you really gotta love something to continuously post about it on social media and not make a fucking penny. I mean, I know people post as hobbies, but most of the time when people post on social media, they hope that they will be able to make some sort of income. I mean, I am really super passionate about debunking things from fat acceptance and weight loss, but I of course have hopes to monetize this channel because we live in late stage capitalism, baby. I got bills to pay. But I've also been making YouTube videos since I was 8. My first YouTube video ever was a music video to You're So Gay by Katy Perry. So there is a lot of passion behind me posting videos, but of course your girl would like a penny or two because just posting one video on YouTube, even if it is super simple, like at least takes 2 or 3 hours because you have to film, edit, write your description, add all of your different...
And even on mine, I have to watch it, and mine are long. I have to make sure the messaging is okay. Like, there are times where I've filmed something, and with my style, it's very free flow, and it's live. It's basically like it's live. It isn't actually live, but it's that type of style, which, again, I spent some years going live and stuff. Like, there's a reason I do it this way because I can, because I worked on it and I can. But sometimes it's crap and I have to do it over again. That actually happened just yesterday. So I filmed for like 45 minutes. I had to listen to it for 45 minutes. Then I had to refilm it again. Then I had to listen to it again. So it took hours and hours and hours because I monitor my own messaging and I make sure that I'm on point. Now, I do this very much so from an activistic point of view. Yes, you know, money matters to me as much as the next person. I'm not against money or anything. I would never be like, oh my gosh, I'm going to demonetize all my videos. Like, no, I'm not saying that. But there have been times where YouTube has demonetized. I still will post it if I think it's important for the cause. Especially last summer, there were certain videos where YouTube was really coming down on me hard because of my conversations about E fall by the letter D, and I still would post it for activistic purposes, there are times where I will do that. That being said, I probably will be doing Jubilee for members in February. This whole experience with this January daily, it has kind of shown me like, you can do a lot. You know, I didn't realize how much I could actually do before testing this out. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to start working some more stuff as the year goes on. But yeah, basically, it takes a lot of effort. I agree. And that's another reason why I'm worried about anti-FA. I'm worried that it will be too much effort for them or something. And it could be paranoia. It could totally be paranoia. I hope it is. But it freaks me out. And I literally was nervous about this. Like, I was scared. So I'm like, because I don't want the message to stop. I really don't. It's very important. And I can't do this alone. I don't want to do this alone. I don't know. It was making me super nervous. So this whole thing has made me very nervous. And I just want to share that with you guys, honestly. I think it's important to be real in this moment.
Tags, make a thumbnail. Like, it would be amazing to make some money off of posting. So I really am interested to see if TikTok gets banned, if people will migrate to other platforms, especially because, you know, there is Instagram and there is YouTube Shorts to post short form vertical content. But even just like filming in these apps is so much different than TikTok. TikTok has made it so much easier to go viral and reach people, when on Instagram and YouTube it could literally take years to mass a good following that is super loyal to you. And TikTok as a platform, I feel like, is very casual. You know, anyone can post, you know, anyone.
You really have to learn. You have to learn YouTube and Instagram, I feel like. It's not something that's intuitive. It's not something that you just pick up a phone and you just go for it. You have to understand how it works. And I will just say, for any of you guys who are interested in doing anti-FA, who are interested in this cause, you have to use repetitive titles, honestly. And it's repetitive. A lot of it is repetitive, and YouTube is a workhorse platform. They reward you for posting every day or very often. If you don't post as often, especially if you're a smaller channel, they really don't push you. So they really make you work your ass off to get off the ground on YouTube. It's tough. It still happens sometimes where people will get kind of viral or they'll kind of blow up. Like, I see it a lot. I see it sometimes in the ASMR space. But people, I think sometimes in that space, when they blow up fast, they kind of just, they lose enthusiasm or they lose ideas and they don't know what else to do. So they just give up. So I don't know. It's a totally different thing than TikTok, because I agree with her. TikTok is so, like, you just get on there and say something and it could go viral, but it also could not. You know, it also, you could go on there, say something, and nobody gives a shit what you're saying too. So I don't know. It's a thing.
Anyone with a smartphone or an iPad or a tablet could post on TikTok. And of course, anyone and everyone can post on Instagram and YouTube too. But if you don't have very polished content on Instagram or YouTube, it is not likely to get as much traction as it would on TikTok. So I definitely think if TikTok is going to be banned, there's definitely going to be less people talking about the fat acceptance movement, which I hope less people learn about the fat acceptance movement, to be honest, because
she says, fat acceptance commentary on YouTube helped me break free from the movement, and I hope their followers come across the same videos that helped me. Yes, that could be a good thing.
I think the fat acceptance community does a lot of harm, and I think the fat acceptance movement has started to dwindle within the last couple of years, and I would like to see it continue to dwindle, because I want people in the fat acceptance community to come back to reality and realize that they do have control over their weight, and they can lose weight, and they probably actually should lose weight and take care of themselves emotionally, physically, spiritually. Even though I critique the fat acceptance movement, I do wish people in the fat acceptance
Yeah, of
movement
course.
the best. I want everyone to have the happiest, most fulfilled life, but not everyone can give that to themselves, because when you're in the fat acceptance movement, you are very bitter and depressed. Social media plays a massive role in shaping our thoughts, beliefs, and exposure to movements like fat acceptance.
She says, I believe social media, particularly TikTok, has pushed us toward extreme viewpoints, stripped away any nuance, and hinders our ability to think independently. I think that could be true of TikTok for sure. Like, I didn't spend much time on TikTok. TikTok, to me, to be honest, was a little bit boring. I will say, though, the algorithm did know what I was interested in very well. Like, it really knew what I liked. But it also didn't, So I don't know. It was kind of hit or miss for me, I guess. Because there'd also be, like, random stuff that would come up that I'd be like, ew, I don't want to see this. So I would get that experience a lot, too. And I think when I really dove into TikTok and tried to use it, it's kind of depressing. I think there's a lot of TikTok that really pushes a victimhood mindset. Instagram is kind of the same way. Instagram can be incredibly negative too. Um, like there have been times where I've been on Instagram and I'm just like, oh my gosh, like this is so negative. And it's like everything is about how like everyone's a narcissist and everyone wants to kill you, and like just, or everybody's gonna break your heart and everybody's gonna do this and you should just tell everybody to get away from you. And like there was a time when I was like literally making fun of Instagram, and I would just send my friends all this stuff, and obviously it makes your algorithm like promote it more, but it's just I would send it to people as a joke, because it's like I've seen so many guttural like things on Instagram that are, and it's just so negative. It's so negative and toxic. A lot of the time, I've literally had moments where I put it on my story and been like, "This is so incredibly negative. Like, what the hell is wrong with Instagram?" And TikTok is kind of similar. TikTok is always telling, like, a lot of the videos on TikTok are about how you're wronged, how society's out to get you, how you're never going to be accepted because of XYZ. It tells you, like, if reality was this other way, then you would be happy, but it's not. Like, there's a lot of these types of videos on TikTok that go kind of viral. And that's just the kind of stuff that I saw, I guess, and that was my experience with it, which, like I said, there was stuff that I didn't really like that much on there, but it was not, like, I just think people they don't understand that it might be making them depressed, is all I'm trying to say. I don't think it's a TikTok only thing, but it's very much that way. Like, I would be extremely concerned if somebody was only watching TikTok and not ever getting out of the house, because it's not real. It is not reality at all. TikTok is completely fake. Basically, I don't know what else to say. Like, fat acceptance is a really, really good example of how fake TikTok is. But even a lot of like the political commentary on TikTok, it's just not a good format to actually talk about issues whatsoever. It's similar to X, where it's just too short. And I feel like those types of platforms, there's not any nuance, and it's just extremely toxic and hateful a lot of the time for no real benefit and no real change. And yeah, I think fat acceptance is just one of the examples of the issues I had with TikTok in general, but it's also like why it did so well there. Because fat acceptance is incredibly negative and it does all those things. If the world was this way, it would be different. I'm being mistreated in this way because I'm fat. I'm this because this, and da da da. Like, it really reinforces all of those kind of mindsets that are so negative and like victimhoodish even if it's unwarranted, like you literally are fat because of your choices. Like really think about that. But it's like the way that it's presented on TikTok, it's like it isn't your choice and this is how it is and this is this and this is that and it'll always be this way and you're never going to go anywhere and you're like it's very very negative, extremely negative. Whereas I would say like Instagram is always promoting the idea of separating from people. It really is like super pro breakup, super pro don't talk to your mom anymore, super pro get these people out of your life. Like there are so many messages like that on Instagram. It blows my mind. Which, you know, I think it affects us. I do. I think it does. And I think we need to really pay attention to what it's doing, you know, and make sure that it's not controlling you. Because I agree. I think a lot of those platforms, I don't think YouTube is as bad because YouTube is long. So it's longer form and you can really get nuanced and really talk about things. And you don't have to be so black and white when you're doing YouTube, which is why I think it's a little bit different than the other ones.
And algorithms are key to amplifying these messages. On all social media platforms, the algorithm pushes content to like-minded people, which is good because it helps people create communities, but it also can help people create echo chambers, which I feel like TikTok is really good at, which is a bad thing. I watch like a lot of anti-fat acceptance creators, and some people will show the comments between Glitter and Laser's TikTok versus YouTube versus Instagram, and everything is so drastically different. Like on TikTok, fat acceptance and like obesity, plus size creators receive way more positivity than they do on other platforms. If anything, I almost feel like if we look at Glitter and Laser, for example, like on TikTok, everything is like, you go girl, you get out there, good job. And then if you go on YouTube, people are like more negative and more critical. And I do feel like Instagram comments are also becoming more critical to people. On TikTok, you're kind of like in your safe bubble unless a video goes like super, super viral. Then you'll have people.
I agree. I think Instagram has become a lot less echo chambery over the past couple years because there's a lot of arguing and comments and stuff on there. Funnily enough, I would go on like Swifty Instagram, like especially over 2023, especially. And sometimes I would argue with Swifties because like I don't like certain songs or whatever, which they get really extra about it, like extremely extra. And I was one of the best people to argue with Swifties. Like I can argue with them because I am one, so I can always hit them where it hurts. But it's like, you know, it was wild. It was wild how like you get a lot of people that don't like her that would also be in those comments. So I think it was kind of shifting a bit throughout the Eras tour anyways, because I noticed that where it became that way. And certainly last year, there was a lot of haters of Taylor in those comments, a lot. And it could have been just because she became less popular or she was oversaturated. But I also think that there is a little bit less echo chamber stuff on Instagram. It's interesting. But it usually leads to a lot of fighting. So I guess it's kind of like, I don't know, because I feel like Twitter is not that echo chambery at all, but it's just a lot of fighting. And it's really toxic and stupid, and they project everything on everyone. Like, it irritates me. I don't like Twitter. I just don't like it. I haven't liked it for years and years and years, though, because it's just toxic, in my opinion. But it's like, I don't know. I guess that is a question. You know, is it better to have like-minded safe spaces or is it better to have challenge? You know, like would this channel do better or would it be better for this channel if there was a bunch of fat acceptance people fighting in my comment section? You know what I mean? It's an interesting question. I don't really know. I just know that I do get the occasional one, but it's really rare. It's super rare.
from outside the fat acceptance community seeing whatever outrageous content is posted. For example, when that one person told me that I was dead to them because I decided I want to be a part of the fat acceptance community, for like the first couple hours or like the day, the comments were super supportive of them and being like, fuck those people, if they lose weight it's fat phobic, blah blah blah. Yeah, people that lose weight are dead to me, things like that. But the video got so big that it started to reach outside the community and they started to receive criticism for that post. Once you get past that like 500,000 into the millions on TikTok, that's when people from all backgrounds start to come in.
She says fat acceptance, being niche and focused on insecure, overweight women, rarely faces criticism unless the video goes viral, as there's no critique within the movement itself. Yes.
And start to leave some comments, and they'll let you know if they agree or disagree with you. And while so many social media platforms want to replicate TikTok's algorithm, because it is so good, it is very niche. You know, every single person I know has a completely different algorithm. TikTok's algorithm is completely catered to each and every single one of us on the platform, you know, which is nice. But then it gives us a skew version of reality and we end up in echo chambers. TikTok's algorithm is really good at letting people go viral, which I think has also helped the fat acceptance movement grow. You know, I feel like every single person in my life has gone viral at least once on TikTok, and it is so easy to gain followers and views on TikTok, but it feels almost impossible to get those same amount of views on Instagram and YouTube. TikTok has become a social media platform that so many different generations use. Like, my mom has never been on Instagram, but she got on TikTok. Like, so many different types of people use TikTok. And if TikTok gets banned, I don't think my mom is going to make an Instagram to watch the same content that she does on TikTok. The following and the engagement that people get on TikTok really stays on TikTok.
This part is really important. This is what I was trying to explain this to one of my friends too. There's no transfer. It's barely any kind of transfer whatsoever. You could have tons of TikTok followers and you have hardly any on you that come to YouTube. But it's the same thing between YouTube and Instagram. A lot of people who have a lot of followers on YouTube, they don't really have many followers on Instagram. By the way, I am on Instagram, Graphically Alex. Just saying. And I do post stuff related to my weight loss and, you know, a lot of just gay songs and stuff on there. But I do. You'll get more problematic body checks on there than anywhere else.
You know, I really hope that TikTok doesn't get banned, especially because I have built my business on TikTok. Like, I sell these crystal toggle necklaces.
That's the part that kills me. Like, I feel for her there. Anybody who depends like on TikTok Shop or anything like that, it's devastating. And I really feel for anybody who was depending on it in that way. It kills me. I hate that so much. It's very sad. So I don't think the ban is a good thing. Honestly, I think that there might be legitimate reasons or whatever for why it was banned, but I don't know, you know. I don't know how I feel about it, honestly. I'm very conflicted about it in general. And I'm worried about how it will affect my activism, basically, or this movement. That's what I worry about, because obviously, like, if fat acceptance just goes to the wayside or it just starts to die out because of this, that's somewhat good, but they've had so much success in mainstream society that there still has to be a deconstruction of fat acceptance, especially in the United States. And I think these commentary videos have been very successful at doing that, and I just worry that people will be less likely to make them because of it. So that's my biggest fear with this ban. I'm hoping it's just a fear. I hope it isn't reality. But I think this whole thing, it really will separate the real ones from the ones that don't care that much, because it will be a little harder. And that goes for fat acceptance as well. It's going to be harder for them. So you're going to see, like, only the people who really, really care, they're going to be making stuff. I know William, he's on Instagram, you know, which shout out to that. I mean, if you guys want to react to him, William is active on Instagram. But a lot of the fat acceptance people, they're not active, and they're not really all that active at all. And they haven't been because I think they've been knowing about this ban. So, I don't know. I kind of just, on my channel, I just subtly and steadily evolved away from covering TikTok. I think because it was sort of repetitive, and it was sort of like, once I had covered most of the main talking points in 2023, then it was like I need to kind of move on a little bit in 2024. But I'm not the girly pop that has like tons and tons of views. You know, my channel is pretty niche. I'm not a big channel. I am proud of the work I do here, and I am happy to help in any way that I can, you know, through this channel with you guys. And I really appreciate your support and all that stuff. And I'm so glad that I can be a support. But it's a small channel. You know, we have to be real. It's small. And my reach, I do think it does get out there a little bit, you know, but it's also like, I really focus on the activistic parts of this. And so I have to keep saying, like, other anti-FA YouTubers, do not quit. Please do not quit. Especially if you have a big reach. This time is extremely important because, like Angelyca said, you may be able to help people as they may start migrating to find other things to watch with TikTok being banned, especially if this ban does last. Please keep going because this is really, really important for the movement, for the anti-FA movement, basically. It's very important. So, again, there have been times where I've had to critique the anti-FA community. Occasionally, it's been so rare. I feel like that's why I'm known as the, you know, I'm the big baddie or whatever. I'm the albatross, or I'm, you know, the scary one or whatever. Because I will say things sometimes, but I barely ever do. Because most of the time I'm pleased, honestly. I'm not like crazy. But I will not be happy if people quit. I'm just saying. So it's like, no, do not quit. You know, shout out to David. I did talk to David a little bit, and I told him, I said, you better not stop doing anti-FA. And he's like, of course not. And I'm like, you better not. And I'm telling Angelyca, I'm putting pressure on her. Like, you just started. You better not stop. So I will call y'all out personally. But anyways. But no, it's like, and anyone else, please do not give up. You know, I'm pretty sure that, you know, some of the ones, especially that were around before TikTok, they're not going to give up. So I have a lot of faith in Michelle McDaniel and Obese to Beast. I don't think they're going to stop, which good on them. But it's like, do not give up. Please do not quit. We need you. We still need you. We need you to continue. I literally was freaking out last week about this. And it's like, it makes me nervous. So don't give up. Don't give up. Period. I'm not letting any of the other anti-FAs off the hook, and I don't think you guys should either, because this is really important. So it's just very, very important. Okay. I feel like I'm repeating myself too much, but I'm just like, I gotta say it. I got to.
Is on TikTok, and a majority of my sales come from TikTok shop. So if it gets banned, I am going to have to completely restructure my business. And if TikTok gets banned, then Fat Acceptance will have to restructure their movement as well. There are very few podcasts that I know of that are about fat acceptance. I don't know of really any fat acceptance creators on YouTube, and I really don't see too much fat acceptance on Instagram either. So I'm not sure.
Most fat acceptance content on Instagram consists of infographics or selfies with few curated reels to promote their message. I agree. That's true. It's much less personality based than on TikTok, for sure. I agree.
If the movement will survive if TikTok gets banned. You guys.
But what I will say is anti-FA also has to evolve. We also have to shift with the change. And I think we're all figuring that out. So just, you know, you guys have been super supportive and I so appreciate it so much. Be super supportive to everyone else in anti-FA too. And yeah, you know, a little solidarity can go a long way too. Because and that's kind of what I'm trying to do with this is just like promote, like, do not quit. Do not quit. Please, you know, please do not. So I hope that we all can survive this, or at least most of us can. And I hope that the message will continue and we can evolve and get even better as a community and as a movement. So, yeah, that's what I'm concerned about.
If TikTok gets banned, what is everyone going to make content about? Social media algorithms amplify.
That too. That's very true. Which again, I know there's a lot of like other types of videos on YouTube that are like all about other type of stuff. I personally don't care that much about like all that other stuff. I care about this. This is what I care about. So this is what I was up, not being able to sleep at night and sweating it about, as I'm like, oh my God, anti-FA, oh my God. And I was like, because I know that I'm going to continue, but I don't want to be like the only one. That was like my worst fear, which I know is really extra and it's probably not going to happen. But that's what I was fearing, because I'm just like, I don't have Riz. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't think I can do it. You know, I'm like, you guys, I don't think I could carry this, you know? So I was sweating it, which I know most people, I'm going to say it to manifest. I know most people won't quit. I'm going to just keep pushing that. Keep saying it. I'm going to just keep saying it. Because I'm like, oh my gosh. Because I had like this nightmare situation in my brain. I'm like, oh my gosh, like what if so many people give up? And then it like really rises. And then it's like, there's so few of us left. And oh gosh, I was kind of catastrophizing over it, honestly. Which I know is extra, but honestly, I'm nervous. I still kind of am nervous. I know that it could just be a fear, but it's a fear that I'm going to express because I don't want it to happen. Basically, that's what I'm doing. This is a big cope video for me. Okay?
Messages and play a crucial role in spreading awareness and building communities. Without TikTok, I don't think fat acceptance ever would have gotten this big. I knew that there was a body positive movement on.
I think there is such an institutional push that it would still be something. It would be a lot more in media. Media has abandoned it though. So I don't know what would happen at this point. So there are a lot of headwinds against fat acceptance. They are at a low point for sure. But like I said, it doesn't mean the work is done. It's not. Obesity is still a major crisis in the United States. Fat acceptance beliefs are very common in the United States, especially, and in some cases globally. And this issue is not resolved whatsoever. It's not over until the obesity epidemic is over. That's my opinion.
Instagram before TikTok came around, but body positivity back then is not the same thing that fat acceptance now is on TikTok. And we know that algorithms and social media really influence how we think about things. Say the fat acceptance community doesn't transfer over to Instagram or YouTube, I think that the fat acceptance community is going to continue to dwindle because they aren't going to have as big of a voice to try and influence people to stay fat or gain weight and glorify obesity. They're not going to have their claws in anyone anymore. I would love to hear everyone's opinions down below. Let me know if you think TikTok is going to get banned, and if it gets banned,
It is. I don't know if it'll stay.
do you think that this is going to be the reason that the fat acceptance movement ends? I really don't want TikTok to get banned because it has been a really great source of news, and it's been a great way for regular people to connect to each other and share their stories. But at the same time, I think a lot of bad stuff has came from it, like creating echo chambers and not allowing people to see the full reality of life. Another thing I don't like about TikTok is that I feel like it has exacerbated a lot of people's phone addiction. But that's it for me. Please share your opinions down
Yeah, I have appreciated
below. I
certain aspects.
would love to hear what you have to say. If you enjoyed this
Sorry,
video,
I'm just trying to get a good pause photo, but I guess I'm not going to get there. I'll just leave you there. So basically, I have connected with people on TikTok a little bit. So I do appreciate that aspect of it. Like, TikTok Live is kind of fun and stuff like that, but it's like I don't. And so I am sad that it's gone, to be honest. Because, like, I don't know, that's something that was fun in life and it's just gone. So I feel like what I'm going through is probably like a tenth of what most Gen Z especially are going through, because they probably just loved it altogether. So I feel for you guys with that. But I think from an activistic standpoint, this is a very important moment, because I do agree with Angelyca. There are going to be a lot of people, especially if this does last, which it may not, but there are going to be a lot of people who maybe start searching outside of that bubble, and hopefully they'll find one of us. You know, and the more of us there are, the more likely they will. So anyways, you guys, thank you so much for listening, and let me know your thoughts on it. I understand it may not be permanent. If it does come back, then I'll probably make another video about it, you know, but I have to just say my opinions on if it is gone indefinitely. So I don't know. I'm not super confident about it coming back. I feel like it's really uncertain right now. And I think it's really difficult to predict what will happen. So with that being said, if it does come back, I will talk about it. It will be another shift in the Fatosphere, and we will have to talk about it again. But in this moment, these are my thoughts. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please check out Angelyca Unfiltered. And I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Have a good one. Peace.